phimosis. Now we come to bladder trauma. Bladder trauma usually occurs due to blow or fall on distended bladder, most commonly seen in roadside accident. Patient may complain of pain in hypogastric region, had no desire to micturate after the scene of blow or accident. No desire to micturate. Features of peritonitis will be absent in initial stage if the urine is sterile. During initial stage, the urine is sterile, the patient will not have features of peritonitis, which the patient can develop subsequently. Varying degree of rigidity present on examination of the abdomen. Can be urinary bladder rupture can be intraperitoneal or extraperitoneal. Intraperitoneal is less common, that is 20%, as compared to extraperitoneal rupture, which is most common, 80%. Investigations. Investigation to diagnose bladder rupture. CT scan of the abdomen is ideal one. X-ray abdomen may show ground glass appearance. You can go for IVP, retrograde urography, management of bladder rupture. Extraperitoneal bladder rupture can be managed by catheterization. Extraperitoneal rupture is most common, 80%. Can be managed without any operation by catheterization. We catheterize the patient at least for 10 days. Most of the rupture will heal, will repair. In case of intraperitoneal bladder rupture, we usually require operative procedures. Operative procedures can be done exploration of the abdomen. You can repair the rupture of the bladder, for which we made the midline, lower midline incision, open the abdomen extraperitoneally and find out the defect, that is rupture. And the rupture size is at the edge of the rupture are trimmed to freshen. Then repair of that ruptured area is done with absorbable suture, 2-0 absorbable suture in continuous manner. After closing the defect, we put SPC to divert the urine so that that part will heal properly. And if required, RPD, retroperitoneal drain, is put depending upon how much is the dissection there and how much size of the rent, so that the fluid which ooze there will come out. Injury to bladder can also occur during some surgeries like inguinal hernia surgery, femoral hernia, hysterectomy, or excision of rectum. Now we come to the retention of urine. Urinary retention. This is most common topic. Most of you must know how to manage the acute urinary retention or chronic urinary retention. Urinary retention can be acute or chronic. There are different causes of acute as well as chronic urinary retention, which we will discuss. The causes of acute urinary retention: bladder outlet obstruction. Most common is bladder outlet obstruction. What is the most common cause of bladder outlet obstruction? Is benign enlargement of prostate. Can be any, but BPH is most common. Urethritis, prostatitis, and phimosis in male. And the causes of acute urinary retention in female: retroverted gravid uterus, bladder neck obstruction, or in both male as well as female, blood clot, urethral calculus, rupture of urethra. Next, neurogenic injury. Next, fecal infection, and certain drugs can cause acute urinary retention in both the cases, male as well as female. And the drugs like antihistamines, anticholinergic, antidepressant, and spinal anesthesia. As you read in case of elderly male, one of the cause of acute urinary retention is spinal anesthesia. Now, what are the clinical features of acute urinary retention? Clinical features: there will be no passage of urine. No passage of urine. Patient complaining of pain in suprapubic region. Next, bladder is visible, palpable, dull on percussion, and tender. Next, potential neurologic causes excluded CNS examination. Now, how to treat acute urinary retention? There are most common is simple catheterization. Depending upon the cause, treatment is most common simple catheterization, urethral catheterization. You must know how to catheterize the patient. Urethral catheter is put under all aseptic conditions. Under all aseptic condition, you are not in front of me so that I can tell you in a better way how to follow the sterile conditions. Wear gloves, clean the glass penis with betadine gently, then introduce the tip of the catheter in a aseptic technique. After putting the catheter, the urine will come out in that catheter. After that, you fix the catheter by inflating the bulb of the catheter by 10 ml of sterile saline in that with the help of needle and syringe. And in the end, confirm the urine is coming freely. Means you have done successful catheterization. Next, SPC. If due to some if due to I will speak some slow. If due to some reasons catheterization is not done, in that situation we can go for supra SPC, suprapubic cystostomy. Suprapubic cystostomy. How to do suprapubic cystostomy? I will tell you later on. Suprapubic cystostomy is an operative procedure in which we put suprapubic catheter to divert the urinary retention. To divert the urinary retention, the cause of acute retention may be any, as I discussed earlier. Next is urethral catheterization. Urethral catheterization instrumentation. With the help of instrumentation, you can put the urethral catheter. Now we come to the chronic retention of the urine. Chronic retention of urine. There will be no pain in chronic retention, while in case of acute retention, there is pain. In chronic urinary retention, there will no pain. Patient may have hematuria. Hematuria. If we are able to manage that patient with chronic retention, it's fine. Otherwise, you can refer the patient to some specialist urology center. Now we come to lower urinary tract infection. Lower urinary tract infection and cystitis. The symptoms of lower urinary tract infection and cystitis are Frequency, patient will have frequency of urine. Urgency, patient have asked to pass urine, but he or she is unable to pass. Dysuria, what do you mean by dysuria? Dysuria means painful micturition. Painful micturition. Suprapubic discomfort. Patient will have discomfort in suprapubic region due to retention, chronic retention of urine. There will be discomfort, pain, uneasiness, and cloudy offensive urine. Cloudy offensive urine means some infection is there. Cloudy offensive urine. Lower urinary tract infection are much more common in female below 50 years of age. Lower UTI are much more common in female below 50 years of age. Now, upper urinary tract infection. Upper urinary tract infection causes symptom of pain, dysuria, pyrexia, and malaise. If they are present, should be taken as serious symptoms. Now we come to isolated infection. Isolated infection means single episode of lower urinary tract, lower UTI. Single episode of lower UTI, more common in females. It is rarely complicated. Rarely complicated. Now we come to recurrent infection. Recurrent infection. Recurrent infection are those infections in which there is no obvious cause or causative agent. Asymptomatic bacteriuria is common. Asymptomatic bacteriuria is common. Investigation may fail to demonstrate any underlying cause. As I have already told, in case of recurrent infection, there is no obvious cause or causative agent. So, investigation may fail to demonstrate any underlying cause. There is no cause. In spite of that, patient have recurrent infection. Investigations may fail to demonstrate any underlying cause. Infection in pregnancy. In pregnancy, female urinary tract infection is twice more common as that of non-pregnant female. So chances of UTI is more common in female during the infection. There are certain predisposing causes of urinary tract infection. Predisposing causes of urinary tract infection. Incomplete evacuation of bladder, secondary to bladder outlet obstruction, BOO, bladder outlet obstruction, bladder diverticula, and neurogenic bladder. These are predisposing causes of UTI. Or if there is any calculus, foreign body, or neoplasm in the bladder, this will cause UTI. Estrogen deficiency, diabetes mellitus. Estrogen deficiency, diabetes mellitus, immunosuppression, all these are predisposing factors for UTI. Now, mode of spread of infection. How uh, the mode of spread in UTI. Mode of spread of infection or avenues of infection. In case of UTI, most common is ascending infection. In ascending infection, how the infection spread? The infection from the colon. In case of female, contaminate the vulva, from where the infection ascends. From vulva, the infective causative organism ascends and causing UTI. These are ascending infections. Next, descending infection from kidney. From kidney, descending infection. Tuberculosis infection, tuberculosis of the kidney, ureter, or urinary bladder is most commonly descending type of infection. From there, from kidney, urinary bladder, kidney, ureter, and urinary bladder, the infection descends down and causes UTI, urinary tract infection. Third is venous spread. Infection can spread hematogenously. Heterogeneous spread. Next is lymphatic spread. Lymphatic spread can spread by lymphatics. Now, what are the microorganisms, bacteria, which are responsible for UTI? There are various microorganisms which are responsible for UTI. Are most common is Streptococcus faecalis. Streptococcus faecalis. Next, Staphylococcus aureus, Pseudomonas, Klebsiella, Mycobacterium tuberculosis, Neisseria gonorrhoeae. These are various microorganisms which are responsible for UTI. Now, what are the clinical features of UTI? There is a long list of clinical features of UTI. You can write it down. First is frequency. Patient had multiple passage of urine. That is frequency. Pain in suprapubic region. Hematuria. Patient may have blood in urine. Pyuria may have pus in urine. When all these are present, hematuria, pyuria, patient can have pyrexia and later on septicemia. Pyrexia, if patient have pyrexia, is a symptom of septicemia. Investigations for UTI. Investigations for UTI. You can go for urine complete examination and urine culture sensitivity. Urine complete and urine culture sensitivity. Special type of There are certain special type of UTI, urinary tract infection, commonly acquired sexually, like acute hemorrhagic cystitis, acute hemorrhagic cystitis, pus present, pus present in urine, acute hemorrhagic cystitis, pus present in urine, but on culture sensitivity, no causative organism seen, may be caused by mycoplasma, herpes simplex, cytomegalovirus. These are the causes of acute hemorrhagic cystitis. Next, tuberculous urinary infection. Tuberculous urinary infection. Early tuberculosis of the bladder. Early tuberculosis of the bladder is usually commences near the ureteric orifice or trigone of the bladder. The tubercular infection of the urinary bladder commences near the trigone or ureteric orifice of the bladder, and the earliest symptom in case of TB urinary bladder is pallor of that mucosa near the ureteric orifice or trigone. Pallor of mucosa and submucosa, which subsequent formation of tubercles. Tubercles may be formed. Early is the mucosa and submucosa become pale, and subsequently the tubercles may be formed, followed by fibrosis. Fibrosis, and that will lead to shrinkage of the urinary bladder. Ultimately, capacity of the bladder will decrease. Ultimately, capacity of the bladder will decrease because of fibrosis. The conductivity decrease, and there will be decreased capacity of the urinary bladder. Treatment in case of tuberculosis of urinary bladder is ATT. As you all know, anti-tubercular treatment. Standard regime for anti-tubercular treatment is required as that in other diseases. Some patients of tuberculosis urinary tract may require removal of involved kidney or ureter even. Next is frequency dysuria syndrome. Frequency dysuria syndrome or urethral syndrome. You can get a short note over this urethral syndrome. What is happening this? This consists of symptoms of urinary tract infection but with negative culture report. You have symptoms of UTI but with negative culture report. Most urologists advise general medicine to patient. Most urologists advise general care to the patients like wear of cotton underwear, wear of cotton underwear, using simple soap, maintain general perineal hygiene. You must maintain the general perineal hygiene, voiding after each act of intercourse. Voiding after each act of intercourse. These are the general measures which can treat this urethral syndrome. No specific medicine is there. Next, interstitial cystitis. Interstitial cystitis or Huyner cystitis. Interstitial cystitis, also known as Huyner cystitis, most common this is seen in women. Huyner cystitis is most common in women. Most common symptom this frequency. Pain is relieved by micturition. As the patient passes the urine, the pain will be relieved and aggravated by over distension of the bladder. Aggravated by over distension of the bladder. In most patients, pyuria and urinary infection are absent. Pyuria and urinary infection are absent. Patient can have hematuria. It was described by Guy Huyner in 1914, hence after the name of this scientist, Huyner's disease. It consists of chronic pain, cystitis, fibrosis of vesical musculature, fibrosis of vesical musculature, ulceration of the bladder, ulceration of the bladder mucosa. In severe cases, bladder capacity is reduced too, as there is ulceration, fibrosis, cystitis. This will lead to shrinkage of the bladder, and ultimately the capacity of the bladder will decrease. In severe cases, the capacity of the bladder reduced to 30 to 60 ml. Then, what is the normal capacity of the bladder? Normal capacity of the bladder is 500 ml and can tolerate up to 6 or 700 ml. But in this case, the bladder capacity is reduced to 30 to 60 ml only. Cystoscopy of the bladder is advised to exclude any malignancy. The treatment of this condition is difficult and unsatisfactory. Treatment is difficult and unsatisfactory. Now, the schistosomiasis of bladder. Schistosomiasis of bladder. Schistosomiasis of bladder, geographical distribution, in which part this is common. Endemic in Egypt, Israel, Syria, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Iran, and China. Freshwater provides habitats for freshwater snail. Freshwater provides habitat for freshwater snail. Bulimus truncatus. Freshwater snail name is Bulimus truncatus, which is intermediate host. How the infection is transmitted to man in schistosomiasis. Mode of infection. Disease is acquired through exposure of the skin in infected fresh water. While taking bath, while taking bath, during bathing, during bathing, Schistosomia hematobium enters the skin via venous circulation. Enters the skin via venous circulation and reaches the liver. From the skin, it reaches the liver via venous circulation and enters the venous channel of the urinary bladder. Enters the venous channel of the urinary bladder, thus causes schistosomiasis of bladder. Now, what are the clinical features of schistosomiasis of urinary bladder? Schistosomiasis. Clinical features. After entering the skin, it produces urticaria. After entering the skin, it produces urticaria lasting for 5 days. That is known as swimmer's itch. At the site of enters in the skin, it produces urticaria. That is known as swimmer's itch. Following an incubation period of 4 to 12 weeks. Following an incubation period of 4 to 12 weeks, patient will have high evening rise of temperature. High evening rise of temperature, sweating, asthma. On examination, you will find leukocytosis, eosinophilia, and intermittent painless hematuria. Intermittent painless hematuria. Intermittent painless hematuria. Men are affected 3 times more common than females. Men are affected 3 times more common than female. Examination of the urine will show Schistosoma hematobium and Schistosoma mansoni. If you go for examination of the urine, you will find Schistosoma hematobium and Schistosoma mansoni. Treatment is drug of choice for Schistosoma hematobium is praziquantel. 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 60 milligram per kilogram. 60 milligram per kilogram. Complications of Schistosoma hematobium. Schistosomiasis of urinary bladder are: it can cause stricture of ureter, calculi formation, vesicle calculi, prostate seminal vesiculitis, prostate seminal vesiculitis. So this is about infections of urinary bladder and lower and UTI. Now we come to the bladder stones. Bladder stones. Bladder stones. Bladder stones can be primary or secondary. What do you mean by primary bladder stone? Primary bladder stone is that stone which is formed de novo in the urinary bladder. That is primary. And secondary bladder stone are formed somewhere else, then it migrate to bladder, as in case of kidney stones or ureteric stone. They trickle down in the urinary bladder and become secondary bladder stones. Primary bladder stones is from sterile urine and often originates in the kidney, while secondary occur in presence of infections Secondary, in presence of infection. POO, bladder outlet obstruction, bladder outlet obstructions, impaired bladder emptying due to any reason. When there is impaired bladder emptying, the stagnant of urine will lead concentrate and lead to formation of stone, infection and formation of stone. That will be secondary blood stone. Bone body, bone body. Incidence. Up till 20th century, bladder stone was a preventable disorder. Was a preventable disorder among poor children and adults because of improved diet, that is increased protein and carbohydrate ratio. The incidence of the bladder stone has now decreased. Composition of the bladder stone. Most vesicular calculi are mixed. Biochemically, they are of various types. What are various biochemical types of bladder stone? Calcium oxalate stone. Calcium oxalate stone. It is a primary stone that grows slowly, moderate in size, solitary. Usually, they are solitary. Surface of calcium oxalate stone is uneven. It's white in color, but can be dark brown or black because of interposition of blood pigments. Because of interposition of blood pigments. Number two is uric acid stones. Uric acid stones. They are round. What are the characteristics of uric acid stone? They are round, oval, smooth, vary in color from yellow to brown, and vary in color from yellow to brown. They are formed in patient of gout. They are formed in patient of gout, patient with ileostomy. Uric acid stone are formed in patient with ileostomy. We will read that in case of GIT, ileostomy. How uric acid stone is formed in case of ileostomy. We will teach you in practical, or you will be covered in theory, and GIT will be covered. And bladder dysfunction. Bladder dysfunction. Number three, cystine stones. Number three, cystine stones. Cystine stones. They are formed in patient with cystinuria. They are formed in patient with cystinuria. They are radio opaque. They are radio opaque because of high sulfur contents. High sulfur contents. Next type of stone is triple phosphate stone. Triple phosphate stone. The composition of triple phosphate stone is triple, as the name suggests, triple: calcium, magnesium, and ammonium. Calcium, magnesium, and ammonium. This triple phosphate stone is most common in patients infected with urea splitting organism. Urea splitting organism. Urea splitting organism. Bladder stone is usually free to move. Bladder stone is usually free to move in the bladder and usually gravitate in the lowest part of the urinary bladder. With the help with the gravity, it comes down the bottom of the urinary bladder. Less commonly, stone is wholly or partially in the diverticle. Once and there are diverticula, when there are diverticula in the urinary bladder diverticula, the stone will be impacted in that diverticula, where it may be hidden from the way. Where it may be hidden from the way. You can't see it. They are on cystoscopy even. They are behind the diverticula. So they will not come in view. Clinical features of bladder stones. Clinical features of bladder stone. Bladder stone are more common in men as compared to women. That is, men to women ratio is 8 is to 1. 8 is to 1. Means it's 8 times more common in male as compared to female. Stone may be asymptomatic and found incidentally. When you are investigating patients and for some other reason, you will find a big vesicle calculus. Symptoms of bladder calculi. Patient may have frequency is the earliest symptom. Frequency is the earliest symptom, and patient may have sensation of incomplete bladder emptying. After the urge of micturition, patient again have urge to pass urine means there is incomplete evacuation of urinary bladder. This is a symptom of vesical calculus. Patient may have pain, strangury. Pain is in case with the pain which is associated with stone bladder is known as strangury. Strangury. Next, patient may have hematuria. Patient may have hematuria. Ashes of bright red blood. Ashes of bright red blood at the end of micturition. At the end of micturition. If patient passes bright red color blood at the end of micturition, that goes in favor of vesicle. You can suspect the patient can have vesicle calculus. Urinary infection is common presentation. Patient may present with UTI as I've already discussed. Common present. Investigations for vesicle calculi. Per rectal or per vaginal examination are generally normal. Per rectal and per vaginal examination generally normal, but sometime on per vaginal examination, a large vesicle calculus can be found in females. Sometimes a large vesicle calculus on PV examination can be found in female. Examination of urine may reveal microscopic hematuria. Patient may have microscopic hematuria. Pus cells and oxalate crystal. If you go for urine examination, that will show urine will show microscopic hematuria, pus cells, and oxalate crystals. Ultrasound abdomen can confirm the presence of stones. Ultrasound abdomen can confirm the presence of stones. All of the urinary system should be examined. X-ray abdomen may show calculi. X-ray abdomen may show calculi. Treatment: how to treat vesicle calculi. We continue. Treatment: the cause of stone should be sought and treated. And this includes bladder outlet obstruction. If the patient having bladder outlet obstruction, like in case of BPH, benign hypertrophic prostate, that's the cause of retention of the urine that will lead to stone formation, so that must be treated. Otherwise, patient will have recurrence. Include bladder outlet obstruction, incomplete emptying of bladder in patient of neurogenic bladder dysfunction. Litholepsy. 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 How to do? A blind lithotrite was in early time minimally invasive technique. Blind lithotrite was introduced creating a path in the urinary bladder. And standard measurement now include optical lithotripsy, electrohydraulic lithotripsy, electrohydraulic lithotripsy, holmium laser, ultrasound probe. These are various methods by which you can take out the urinary bladder, calculate, ultrasound probe. And other devices include stone punch. Stone punch. We introduce the stone punch, crushes the stone in small pieces, which crushes the small stone in fragments, which can be evacuated out with Helix evacuator. Helix evacuator is a instrument. With the help of Helix evacuator, you can extract the stone from urinary bladder. There are certain contraindications for per-urethral lithotripsy. Contraindications to per-urethral lithotripsy are urethral stricture. The patient is having previous urethral stricture, you cannot introduce your lithotract. So, urethral stricture which cannot be dilated sufficiently and contracted bladder, urinary stricture, contracted bladder, very large stone and cannot be taken out with lithotripsy. Very large stone. Ultrasound lithotripsy is extremely safe. Ultrasound lithotripsy is extremely safe but effective only for small stone. Large stone cannot be evacuated out with the help of ultrasound lithotripsy. Laser lithotripsy. With holmium laser can deal with large stone. With holmium laser can deal with large stones. Number next, percutaneous suprapubic lithotripsy. Percutaneous suprapubic lithotripsy. It is possible to insert a needle. Percutaneously, we introduce a needle into the urinary bladder, and over that needle, we pass a guide wire. That is percutaneous suprapubic lithotripsy. Over the needle, first we introduce percutaneously a needle inside the urinary bladder, and then pass a guide wire over the wire, as in percutaneous nephrolithotomy. Then pass a metal dilator over the guide wire. Then we pass the metal dilator over the guide wire to dilate the tract. Dilate the tract. And an implant sheath is inserted. Then over the guide wire we insert an implant sheath followed by a large bore nephroscope. Ultimately, put followed by insertion of inserted followed by large bore nephroscope. This is the best way to use if it is not possible to carry out lithotripsy per urethra. If it is not possible to carry out lithotripsy per urethra in cases of stricture, urethra, you can follow this procedure, lithotripsy. Third is suprapubic cystolithotomy for very large stone. You can go for suprapubic cystolithotomy for very large stone. Okay, removal of retained Foley's catheter we will discuss next time. Okay.